Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Well, welcome. We're glad to have you back again. Can you hardly believe it's already second quarter? So the thing is, I told you in the second quarter, we're really going to concentrate on what I call the 6P business owner formula. And for me, that is people, promotion, pricing, productivity, profit, and processes. And that becomes the key to your business. Is these 6Ps become really the difference of you being successful or not so successful. And as business owners, let's be honest, one of those P's really drive us crazy most of the time. And that P is processes. And my guest today is going to help us in that area. So Liz, would you share with our listeners today, what problem will you help them solve?
So one of the problems that every small business owner has is the lack of time. And one of the big ways to leverage time is to grow your business. But since we don't have a lot of time, then what I'm going to teach you today is how you can actually put systems into place and how to actually document those systems in just 10 minutes a day. So that way you don't have to complain about not having enough time. You can streamline your business, organize your business in just 10 extra minutes a day.
Well, I love this conversation because I know what a challenge it is for small business owners. So Liz Chism is with us today, and she's an experienced business operations coach. Her entrepreneur journey began when she founded and operated an award-winning craft brewery with her husband. Currently, she helps small businesses organize and streamline their business operation. Liz, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to have you because this is one of those areas, as I've said several times, is most business owners, it's not in their wheelhouse because they're visionaries or other things. And they just really, that part of the business, they want to do other pieces that they get really excited about. And this is the one they always put off. But I always tell my clients when I'm coaching them, this is the one that will help your business grow faster and quicker than anything else. So we're going to get in those processes and those systems that they need to have. But why don't we start with really, where did you get your start really in the operation area?
So it's funny you ask because recently I realized that it wasn't just starting in operations when I started a brewery with my husband in 2014, but it actually went all the way back to growing up. And I was basically the only operations person in my family. And I have 7 siblings. So as a large family, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of different schedules. There's a lot of things happening. And I was the one that organized my family and got us to places on time and all that type of stuff. Well, when we started our brewery in 2014, naturally, my husband is more of the visionary, more of the CEO type, and I'm more of the implementer or the instigator of things and getting them actually done. So we actually reversed roles a little bit in the sense that I became the head brewer and the COO. So I did all the brewing and all the operations for our brewery. And when we realized that, I was really good into operations because we were sending our beer all over the world and we were, shipping to China and everything like that. I was good at it, but I didn't know how to actually get my team on board with that. And so what happened is every time we were wanting to grow our business, my time also grew. So instead of working 60 hours, I wanted to grow my business. So I went to 80 hours, and instead of, delegating and learning how to put systems in place, then I got to 100 hours. But eventually you run out of time. And my husband and I wanted to start a family. And so working 100-hour weeks and starting a family does not jive well together. And so that's when we really sat down and was like, okay, what do we need to do in order for our business to run well with or without us? I mean, we enjoyed it. And so it wasn't like we just wanted to offload everything, but what do we actually need to do so that way we can start a family? And so we started, implementing systems and processes and procedures. And we did a top-down, bottom-up approach where our team was heavily involved in everything that we did. It wasn't just me writing down a bunch of steps on a piece of paper to get them to do X, Y, and Z process. It was a full culture shift in our business. And, we were able to start a family, we were able to travel, we were able to leave our business for weeks at a time and come back with it thriving. We spent 2 weeks in China with zero internet, zero Google. Google literally does not work in China. Like, there's no Gmail in China. And so you're like, well, I hope I have a business when I come back. And we came back and our business was thriving beyond our wildest expectations because we were able to actually put in all these processes and all these operations things. And so people just started asking me, like, how are you running a business and having a family? How are you able to do all these things? And so that's really when the coaching and helping those small businesses actually have a life outside of their business and not just have a business that takes up their life.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference, because that's a challenge. Because if you want to grow it, normally the worry in your mind is, okay, I'm going to even take less of that freedom of time, just like it did for you. Instead, how do you find that? And I think the key is to letting business owners know you don't have to have that desire, that capability. You can find that right person, but you have to have the systems of processes to be able to decide how are you going to do it, because it really needs to go from one person to the next person. I was just in a mastermind group and we were talking about some of that, and the owner has been doing it and he's transferred that on in the last 6 months, but it's not being done exactly how he did it because, of course, why? He had the whole big picture of the whole business. And how can he give that to that other individual? And it's be through those processes that we can do it. So I guess I'm curious with the story. You made that happen. Sounds like the business went well. Where did you, or how did you transition to becoming a coach to share others that problem? You found a problem that other people have, and it's a big one on that side. How did you make that transition to a coach?
Well, that's kind of a funny story, actually. Operations is not our issue at the brewery, but there were things like tariffs and hyper-local things and various, issues that happened that ended up having us close down our brewery. And we ended up filing bankruptcy. And so when we were talking to our business coach afterwards, we're like, okay, so we get to start from scratch. What do we want to do with life? It's like we felt like a little kid who grew up and was like, okay, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because we had that second opportunity to really decide how we wanted to live life and how we wanted to do that. And so my husband started a real estate business. He's been super successful and I help him with all the operations on that. But people still kept on coming to me because, it wasn't an operations issue that the brewery closed down. It was some other things. And so, it was like, yeah, I'll help you put this in. Oh, yeah, I'll talk to you. And all of a sudden it was just, by word of mouth, I just started having too much work. And so I had to start putting some systems into place and, do some things that made it so that my coaching business didn't take over my life. And now we have 3 kids. So now I'm really needing to focus on family instead of just working more hours all the time.
Well, that's interesting. And thanks for sharing that. Sorry about your other business, but that happens to a lot of business owners. But the thing is, I love about what you talked about. Number one, you relooked at where did you not want to go? But you also looked at what was your skill set that you had and what problem do you need to solve? And for a lot of business owners, we can apply this as you may have an operating business right now. What is that problem that you need to solve in your business? And a lot of times it is processes. So I'm curious, is your philosophy behind kind of systematizing businesses or putting processes in? And then you talked about it earlier about in around 10 minutes a day versus someone thinking, oh my gosh, the only problem is we got all these systems to put in. This will take all year to get done. And it's going to drive me crazy because it's not an area that I'm comfortable in doing.
So one of the big things about systems and how it relates to small businesses is that small business owners are usually the visionary, but then they want to outsource or delegate the systemizing of their business to somebody else because they don't enjoy it. However, every system starts with a vision or a goal or end result, which is where the owner comes into play. And so when you really nail down what that end result is, it's very easy for other people who have the strength of systems to come in and create the system to meet that need and to meet that goal. You know, I was working with a coffee shop once, and she does roasting. She has a couple of coffee shops and everything. And so when I was working with her to create a production manual for her roastery, you know, she said that she wanted to be on the fields of Colombia with no cell phone access while her business ran without her. And I was like, great, I can do that. I've done that before. I've been in China for, you know, several weeks, and it all was great. And I've done other longer trips. And so then every time we started building the system, she was like, okay, well, they'll just email me when this happens. Oh, well, I'll just come into work when this happens. Or, oh, I'll do this when this happens. And I'm like, well, yeah, but do you remember that you're on the coffee fields of Colombia? You're not around at all. You're not here. What is that system? And when you start looking at it from the end result and start with the end in mind, it's really easy for your team to create a system that matches that. Does it matter if they did A and then C and then B? If the end result is exactly what you want? No, it actually doesn't matter. You know, does it matter that you have a piece of paper that has, you know, or actually 1,000 pieces of paper that have the entire instruction manual to your business? Or does it matter that your customers were served and they felt special and they're referring all their friends because they felt special and they felt served? You know, maybe you need to fix a few processes to make it better, but if you can really nail down the end result of what you want it to look like when, you know, anything from a simple process to a complicated process is documented so that anybody and everybody can follow it, then that's where it really creates ease. And it's not so much of here's this whole elephant that we have to try to eat. And it breaks it down to, okay, what bite-sized piece do we need now? What is that goal? What is that end result? And anytime that you're building an SOP or building a process, you have to think about, okay, if I were to follow this verbatim every little bit, would I reach my end result? And if you're not going to reach your end result, then that means the process needs to change. But then that's when you can get your employees and your team and your virtual assistants and anyone else that's a part of your business on board. And then they can help you say, hey, you know what about trying this? Or what about trying that? And everybody's focused on the system. And that's when you change the culture of the business. So it's systems focused. And then when a process doesn't work, there's no blame game of, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. It's like, okay, something in the process doesn't work. Let's fix the process and let's collaborate on creating a process that gets us to our end goal.
Yeah, and I think that makes a big difference. And the other thing is now is realizing we have so many tools available to us, because some of it does not have to be a written process. It can be a step-by-step video tutorial that's done. And you may say, well, I don't do videos. You can shoot it with your iPhone. You can shoot it with your phone that's available to you. Nowadays, if it's something on screen capture, capturing data, people put a lot of data entry. You can use tools like Loom, where it captures your screen as you're doing it. You can be talking through it to really make that difference. But I see what you mean, because visionaries think about a lot of times, a lot of things, but really getting the end result and getting the vision of what you want to accomplish. And then as you bring your team on, and I was looking at your website earlier, and I really enjoyed that you had 3 secrets that really people can play off of and stuff. And it really plays the secret number 1 that you had on the website is leverage your team members to create systems for you. And, you know, but you have to know what you want. And that's what you really shared there. So I'd be curious on secret number 2, if you'll give us some information there, how to document your SOPs and keep them up to date. Because that's their worry. The next thing is, I'm going to create all this stuff, and then of course it gets out of date. Then I got to do this again next year or 2 years from now.
So there's 2 parts to documenting your SOPs. One is you want to make things as simple and accessible as possible. I personally use Google Docs because everybody can access it, everybody can use it, and you don't need a user's manual on how to use Google Docs. I also use like a Slack and Asana, and so I actually post the link to that SOP in Asana, in Slack, in other documents, in a spreadsheet. Like I post it everywhere, so there's no question on where is this piece of paper that says how we're supposed to do it. The other secret is you want to make the conversation about an SOP or about a process where it is documented. So the mistake a lot of people make is that they document their SOPs on one piece of paper and they go have a discussion on Slack on how they need to fix the SOP. And so then you end up having to do extra work and putting it back into the document. And most people don't do it. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
And so by having a discussion within Google Docs where you can use the comment section on the side, you can then keep them up to date. So even if you had a long discussion about something and it never got fully put into the document, and then that employee left, you still have the history all right there within that SOP to see what that discussion looked like. And you can go to past comment history and see what was going on. So that way, any new employee can see the evolution of this SOP and how the strategy has changed, or the process has changed, or the discussion that the end result didn't get met by following this. And so you changed something about it. They can see all of that right there within the SOP. So even if it's not the most pretty, beautiful thing with all the graphs and the pictures and everything like that, at least you've got 80% of it right there within the document.
That is some great information, because that's the key, is keeping it a living, breathing document and getting everyone, because that's the whole key. You lose one employee, the next employee comes in, you want that to be a breathing document that you can use. And you kind of mentioned this already, but I'm going to share secret 3, if you're okay with that, is with everyone, because first we have to realize the business owner or entrepreneur is the visionary. They have to think of what they want in the end in mind. But the nice thing is, a lot of them will like this one. Secret 3 is how to remove yourself from being the bottleneck. And normally the business owner and entrepreneur is, and I'm literally getting some coaching here from Liz for free on our podcast, because I want to get out of doing all my own email. And it's a goal of mine by the 3rd quarter that I'm not checking all my email. Instead, I'm getting the important items and I'm handling things there. So I'm curious, how can I remove myself from being that bottleneck, Liz?
So the biggest thing is it's twofold. One is physically, what are you doing that somebody else could do? Going on a vacation, taking a trip, leaving your business for a weekend, a week at a time, that type of thing, shows you not what you didn't do, but shows you what needs to be delegated, or what needs to be delegated better. Before we did this 2-week trip to China, we were gone multiple times on trips and vacations and teaching tours and those types of things. And every time we came back, it wasn't, what do I need to do to catch up? It's what was broken, what didn't go as planned, and let's go fix what broke, so that way we can go on vacation and it's not a ton of extra work before we leave and a ton of extra work when we're gone, when we come back. And so that's kind of the first step, is like delegating. Like you said, email. Okay, what do you need to do to delegate all of that email? The second part of that is really a leadership and mindset issue, because so many business owners have an ego, and I was there too. I was working the 100-hour weeks and I had a team of 16 people, and I still was not leveraging them because I could not let go of certain things. I would, give them something and then I would blame them or say something didn't work, or there's no way we can find a system for this. And then I would take it back because it was easier for me to do. And so it's really that leadership quality and that mindset, and not just thinking about you as a leader as dictating orders and barking out, what they should do and shouldn't do, but really inspiring leadership in your team. Because then when you're absent, it's not that a leader is absent, but you've actually helped them become leaders. And when they are leaders, they are actually going to thrive in their area. And then you're really not going to have a job at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I think that's a big one. And that's hard, like you said, because we have egos. We think we're the only one that can do that. It's been one of my challenges of turning the email over is I think, oh, you want everyone to see this. There's nothing that comes in that I don't care if they see, but I think I'm the only one, or I'll miss seeing this. And I'm now going through and unsubscribing. I'm starting to put some of those processes in, but you gave me a big one there. But it has to be that mindset shift. How can I get myself out of that? Because the problem is we're spending too much money. And for me, for time is in the email side of it. But there's other things I could be doing of creating, one of the things I want to create, that 6P business owner formula. I want to write about those topics in those 6 areas. I want to use other people's expertise. I don't feel like I have it all, but I think it's critical that business owners understand those 6Ps is what is challenging their business. And everybody has 1 or 2 of those that they need to circle, and they've got to figure out how to make those differences. Liz, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast and giving some great information. I'm going to leave the last question more open. If someone's heard this and they've heard everything we've talked about, and you've shared a lot of great information and stuff, how do they just get started? And then I know we'll be able to share with them. You've got an offer that you're willing to make to to our podcast listeners too and stuff. But what gets me off a dead center instead of, I know I have this problem?
So one of the biggest things that I always start any person with is the curiosity game. And it's set a timer and just think about, I wonder what would happen if I put this type of system into place. I wonder where my business would be if I only, did these things and I delegated everything else. I wonder what would happen if I didn't have to touch these emails and things happened automatically. The more questions that we can ask from a place of curiosity instead of judgment, then we're actually able to really see where we need to focus our efforts to actually get started. And then the second thing is to actually get started is to just do 10 minutes a day. And I've broken this down into a 5-day process because, Monday through Friday, 5 days. And so if you can just set aside 10 minutes every day, Monday through Friday, you can make a huge difference in your business. Now, before you actually start this 10 minutes, there's a couple of things that you need to do. The first one is that you actually have to put those 10 minutes in your calendar, because if you don't put it in your calendar, it's not going to happen. Yep. The second thing is that you need to remove all distractions, close all the tabs on your computer, turn off your phone, lock the door, make sure that there's 0 distractions, because if you're only going to spend 10 minutes, you better make that 10 minutes worth it. And then the third thing, and this is what most people don't do, is have your employees and your team members do this exercise along with you. Unless you're a solopreneur, you shouldn't be the one making all the systems for your business, because you're not the one doing all the processes in your business. You should only be writing the systems and the processes for what you specifically are doing, and everything else needs to be written by somebody else. So once you've done those things, then on Monday, you're going to decide what process you're actually going to write down and document and work through that week. Like 1, not 10, not 15, not this entire, huge part of your business, but 1 simple process. And then you're going to decide, if somebody is to follow this process, what is that end result I want to happen? What is that vision? What is that goal? What's that? How do we know that that problem or that process was successful? That is all you're going to do in that 10 minutes, that first 10 minutes. Now, the second 10 minutes on Tuesday, you're going to write down all the tools or all the programs or software related to that process. What does the person need access to? Passwords, email addresses, websites, login information, whatever they need to actually make that process happen needs to be written down on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, you want to write a bird's eye view or a summary of what this process is. Like if you were in an elevator with somebody and they said, well, how do you do X, Y, and Z? You can say, well, we do this, 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 and this, and that's how we do it. And you want to write that all down because most employees only look at the bird's eye view. So you want to make sure that that's front and center and everything is documented well. And then the Thursday, the fourth day, you're going to add any necessary detail to that process. So that's where you're going to expound on what you did on Wednesday. And you're going to add some extra information. You're going to add some extra details. Maybe you need to do a quick video or a quick, screen recording or something like that. And then on Friday is where you're going to add a feedback loop. You're going to test the process out and see if it got you your end result, and then fix it or put in place, when are we going to test this out and when are we going to try to fix it, and schedule it into your calendar. And that's your 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week process map.
That is gold, Liz. I can't thank you enough for sharing that with our listeners. The one thing I want you to know, though, Liz does have a program out there, a Systems in the Freedom, a 90-day systems boot camp. So would you please share that with them? Because I'm sure you have a lot of these tools that you share with people that they can get, and kind of what will they get out of that boot camp?
So like he said, it's a 90-day program. And in that 90 days, it's for not only you as the visionary, because you don't want to write all these systems in the first place, but
Right.
I actually give access to all the trainings with your team and with your virtual assistants and with your, employees and independent contractors, so they can be on the calls with you so that you're not having to learn from me and then go try to regurgitate the information and play telephone game to somebody else. So there's the coaching aspect that's once a week with me live, answering all your questions, deep diving into stuff, working through processes, doing SOP reviews and those types of things. And then there is weekly, I've broken it down into weekly videos that are pre-recorded so that way you and your team can learn and go back to it. I also have templates and different type of instruction manuals, so that way you have everything you need to get your business to create a systems foundation, and then you can grow and scale beyond that with so much ease, it's not even funny. And so since a lot of people can't afford the one-on-one coaching with me all the time, I created something that's a little bit of a hybrid. You do some on your own and you come to me and we do group. And the nice thing about group is all of us are business owners and we love to help each other out. So I'm not the, keeper of all the knowledge, but we use it more of like a master class or a mastermind. So that way we're all helping each other, and hey, I'm using this program or I'm using that program, and really helping each other grow and thrive and have a freedom life along with a thriving business.
Excellent. And we're going to have that in our show notes, basically how you can access that program and get all the details. She's got a video up there. We'll tell you all about it. So please check that out. Go to our link at smallbusinessanswerman.biz, and we've got all that information there easily that you can check it out. Liz is also on social media. Liz, if they're trying to find you on social media, I see you're on Instagram, Facebook. They can check you out there. And then her website is lizchism.com. So we're going to have all that information that they can access. So Liz, you've shared a wealth of knowledge, and I just really appreciate your expertise and sharing it. And my challenge is, business owners, it's time. Quit saying you're going to do it. And I'm going to take the accountability. So I'm going to go first. I told you I want to get my email transferred. My goal is to have that done by the end of second quarter, because in July, I'm going to take a little bit of a sabbatical. So I don't want to have to worry about email. I'll still have to check on a few things, but I'm going to be available to that. So I'm going to make myself accountable here, and Liz is going to help me with that. And we may even come back and do a follow-up little session on it, give some follow-up there, but I'm going to follow her steps that she's given us. So I truly appreciate it, Liz.
Well, thanks again for having me. It's always fun to talk about systems. This is what lights me up.
Exactly. I can tell, because you can see it even when you talk about it. And that's the thing. You found a problem to solve. And that's the other piece I want to share with the business owners. You found a problem you solved that you get excited about and that you have a lot of wealth and knowledge about. And that's the thing. In our businesses, a lot of people are business owners, but there may be some that are thinking about being an entrepreneur. You got to figure out what problem will you solve and what expertise do you have over that? And does it light you up and get you excited about it, just like Liz shared with us there. Liz, before I let you go, I'd like to ask you one question is, what's the best business tip or advice you would give to our business owners and entrepreneurs?
The biggest one for me over the years is to really hone in the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. And this is where 80% of what you do is really only getting 20% results. But the 20% that you do is getting 80% results. And so really honing in what is the 20% that you can do in order to get the 80% results. And when you figure out that 20%, and it's going to be a slow shift, but when you figure out that 20%, you're golden.
Great. Thank you, Liz, for sharing that. Now, what I always do is say, what is some action that you should take? I think the action is, we know it's starting to spend that 10 minutes a day, and let's get our processes in place. And because that's going to make the difference of your business. Your business is going to grow by how good your processes is, because why? It's not dependent all on you. And then it frees you up of that freedom of time, which when I survey business owners and entrepreneurs, the biggest thing they want back is more of that freedom of time. They almost get jealous of people that work just an 8-to-5 job because they don't know what that is. But we create that challenge ourselves in each one of those areas. So that's going to be the thing. Liz gave us a gold mine there at the bottom about putting it in your calendar, remove distractions, and then involve your employees and team members with the process. And then she broke it down each day. If you're not sure that you can do that yourself, then go to her website and get signed up for her program and walk along these next 90 days with your team. That is awesome that you allow the team to be able to see it too. And that's a great big benefit because now you've got the process oriented throughout your whole organization and stuff. So Liz, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks again for having me. This was fun.
Small business owners and entrepreneurs, remember the 6P business owner formula. We solved your process problem today. And processes is your operations in your business, and it's the bottleneck, I guarantee you right now in your business. It's the number one bottleneck you have, and we've solved it early in 2023. So go out and make that change, and let's improve our business, because ultimately, if we do that now, that brings in the pricing side of it and the profit side. Your business makes more money. So thanks for joining us, Liz, and I look forward to seeing everybody next week. Make it a great day. Thanks for joining us.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, when you find the right solutions, your business grows and you get your time back.